Good morning, everybody, and welcome to an absolutely glorious day here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. I'll tell you, if you're thinking about envisioning what would be a perfect day to go racing, I think we may have stumbled onto it here, and we're delighted to be here and to have you with us as we take you through this weekend of racing at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio, presented by Honda Racing and HPD. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish, Jeff Leppard down in pit lane. And a little bit on the cool and breezy side right now, Cal. It's supposed to be about mid-70s come afternoon here. Absolutely phenomenal day, and a big grid of GTS machinery getting ready to set out for their 50 minutes of competition.
It's going to be a great race, and I think with these cool conditions, I think we can see the lap times continue to drop throughout the 50-minute race. And as we all know, that fast lap is very important, setting you up for day 2 tomorrow with your grid spot. So look for those guys to be pushing hard towards the end of it. We saw in qualifying yesterday, actually, in very cool conditions last night. Everyone was able to achieve very fast lap times towards the end of the session. So the Pirelli P0 is working great. And it's wonderful to walk out your hotel room in the morning and have low humidity.
Nice crisp air, yeah. Interestingly, there's a significant little breeze going on right now. How is that going to affect these GTS cars? Not as aero-dependent as the GT3 machines, but still.
It can. I mean, yesterday it was quite severe, in fact, last evening in qualifying, and it can certainly affect your speed into some of the corners, so you need to adjust for that a little bit. You maybe brake a little bit later. But turn 1, for example, very fast corner, is kind of protected by the bridge there, so I don't think it will affect the handling too much. It may just affect your gearing a little bit down into some of the brake zones.
Great group of fans here always up on the hillsides, ready to watch things unfold here. This year, it's really in GTS, Cal. It's been, and there's a look at the strength of that breeze, it's been the year of the sweep, not streak, with one team or driver winning a lot of races in a row, but at every one of the 5 events we've had this year, one team or driver has swept both rounds of that, and it's been a different one each time. Coming in here, I think there's potential for it to happen again when you take a look at that front row.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lawson Olschenbach continues to lead this championship without a victory, so you know he's going to be very hungry. He had a win here last year. The Camaro seems to be well suited to this racetrack, and it's great to see the Giannetta's back and back with severe pace. So great pole sitter there for Gottsacker.
Yeah, got that done yesterday on his 18th birthday, so a nice little birthday present that he gave himself, and the team certainly gave him with a car that's great. You see a lot more light underneath those Giannettas than we have in the past. One of the BOP adjustments is they've raised the ride height, and with how slick the track is here, the team thinks that may have ironically actually helped them out a little bit.
Yeah, well, you're going to have a little bit more roll to deal with in terms of the dynamic of the car, but as you said, when the track is a little bit slick, it'll give you a little bit more bite. And whatever the case is, both cars I watched from the carousel yesterday in the early practice session, and the cars were hooked up. So they've found the sweet spot. They've rolled off the trailer great, and typically that sets up a good race weekend.
And the guy that's next to Harry comes in here with a substantial point lead, but he's lacking one thing, and it's a win. We've had 10 rounds in this championship so far, 9 podiums, 10 top 5s, no wins.
Yeah, and it's got to be frustrating him, but for Lawson, he's such a pro.
Yep.
I think even, if you look at the Giannetta boys, they're here sporadically. They're not doing a full season campaign. So how hard do you race those guys? They're going for a victory. They want to win.
Yep.
Lawson would love to put a win in the column this year, even though he's got a commanding lead in the championship. But you know, he's one of those guys who's able to really think it through, like the big picture of, okay, I want that victory, I want those extra points, but the championship could still get away from me. I can't afford to race too hard and get taken out. So, well, it'll be interesting to see. I think a lot will depend on the start. I think if Lawson can jump at the start and get the lead going down into turn 4, that could set up the race for him.
The interesting thing for Lawson is obviously he's comfortably out-qualified the guys that he is racing for the championship, so he's got that bit of a buffer, so he could have a bit of sport if he wants it.
Yeah, and you know it's frustrating him. I mean, he's been competitive. I mean, his racecraft has got him on the podium so many times, so he's doing what he does best, and that's really work a championship, get it to come together. But I think this could be the weekend. And as you said, we're on this unbelievable streak of the sweeps.
Yep.
And typically, if you win a race here, it means you've got good pace, and that may set up the grid spot.
And it is start command. There it is, folks, the signal for this field to fire up these great engines, and we are getting ready to go racing again. A 50-minute rolling start. Bit of a change just for this weekend here because of how short the front straight is here. Both GTS races here this weekend will feature rolling starts. The guys that are excited about that a little bit are the Crossbows, because they said it takes us on the standing starts. One, we don't launch well. Two, it takes us forever to get temps in those tires. And we'll talk a little bit more about the BOP, that adjustment they have that's been made. It's really a refocusing of the approach to the BOP. And, of course, we've got some great partners in this championship. One is Cadillac, and there is the beautiful Cadillac ATSV safety car as it's leading this field around. And it is going to bring them up to the green, where, of course, they'll deal with the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. We'll talk about that in a moment, and some good stuff. And then, of course, at the back of the field, oftentimes chasing, here staged and ready to respond. We hope they get to just enjoy that seat, is the official medical vehicle, the Cadillac Escalade. Absolutely great support we get from the folks at Cadillac. But getting back to the field here, Cal, those Crossbows, they've changed the whole approach because they've been restricting their revs, which of course restricts boost, but letting him run light. And they said it's great if we have a free lap and late in the race when everybody's off tires, but if we're behind somebody with more motor, it negates everything. So they've basically done really refocused the whole thing, giving them more rev but more weight.
Yes, they're trying to slow them down a bit in the corners, give them a little bit more straightaway speed, so the dynamic is not so opposite to a lot of the other cars in the championship. I know Martin Barkey was getting frustrated by having quick cars, but suddenly getting shuffled back down the order and couldn't do anything with the pace of the car in terms of lap time. He even talked to me a couple of races ago about going testing with a narrower tire to kind of showcase that if we could slow the car down a little bit through the corners, that would help that dynamic. But even so, great to see him up on the second row of the grid once again. Another strong qualifying performance. And this start down through this section here, through 4, 5, and 6, is going to be critical. 4 guys like Martin Barkey, as we mentioned before, for Lawson Archie back on the outside of the front row.
And the other thing we just got to ask you about, you surprised to see the double winner at Road America, Ian James, back in 8th?
A little bit, yeah, because that's a car that's just continued to get stronger weekend after weekend and coming off a double victory, but they too got a little bit of adjustment in terms of balance and performance, so they're not quite strong this weekend. And it doesn't take much. They take the car out of its sweet spot, and they took a pretty big swing at that car in terms of saying, okay, you may be a little bit too strong right now for the rest of the competition. But Ian's a pro. He knows this racetrack very well. He and I worked together at the Mid-Ohio Driving School for a number of years here, so he knows this track like the back of his hand. He loves this place, and expect him to move forward.
And this place is a technical roller coaster, and it's a track where a driver can make a difference, and that has to have these drivers licking their chops a little bit, knowing that if I'm on my game here, I can really make a difference in this race.
You have to be patient around this racetrack. It's very easy to overdrive this circuit and not get any results in terms of your lap time. In corners like this one, the carousel, the keyhole, you've got to be so patient with how you apply the throttle application coming through this corner. Otherwise, you're just going to drive the front tires off the car. You've got some high-speed corners like turn 11, turn 1. So you have to be very disciplined. The back section through Madness, it's all about placement of the car. You can't get too far ahead of yourself. If you make a little error, correct it immediately. Otherwise, it's just going to compound itself through the following corners.
There's a look at the number 14 of Nate Stacy in the Stacy Racing green version of the Flying Lizard livery. He's got some work to do coming from 13th on the grid. The Porsches just seem to be just a little bit off here. But boy, when Nate gets up on the wheel, he can hustle it. It should be fun to watch, but it is time to get this one underway. Obviously here, they always do the starts on the back straight through what they call Station 3 by the kink, because it's just got a little bit more room to let everything sort out before getting into the fun twisty bits on the back side of this track. So for the first time in his career and for the first time as a full pro, Harry Gottsacker in the number 69 Ginetta is going to lead him up for the start. He's got Lawson Aschenbach alongside. They're in the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. Everybody's stacking up, waiting for the green. There it is, and Lawson gets a
jump.
mega
Look at Baptista. Big move down in the grass, looking for more. It's Harry there. He's got to be careful.
And there,
Roberts straight into the fence. Baptista super aggressive there.
And yeah, obviously Roberts turning in didn't realize Baptista was there, and he just speared left, and immediately a full course yellow. What a shame. Fred Roberts, his second consecutive GTSA category pole, started 5th overall, and that was a rough ride, certainly. And you're right. I mean, Baptista got a mega start.
He did, and I knew he was going to be aggressive. They were very frustrated after qualifying yesterday. They had a fast car in practice. He qualified down on the 5th row and wanted to make some moves early, but I think that's a consequence of someone coming to this track for the very first time and not knowing the racing dynamic of putting your car in a spot you really shouldn't be in. There's a kink there, you're in the grass, everyone's packed together, and that was a super aggressive move there by Rodrigo.
And we've got some of the EV equipment already on station, and you can see some of the crew talking. The Cadillac Escalade, the official medical vehicle, on its way as well. Cal, let's go back and take another look at that start. And we were right off the bat focused, obviously, on that front row and the great launch that Lawson Aschenbach got. But Baptista in the red and silver Porsche, he was the one that really made the move.
Yeah, look at the 5th row on the left side of the screen as we're looking at it. Gottsager kind of stacks everyone up, then Lawson gets the jump here initially, and then watch there immediately, Baptista around the outside of Bell, and then right there at the critical point there, I mean, there's just no room for him to fire it through, and just gets into the side of Roberts. Luckily, he didn't take out other people like Gaples, who was right in the picture at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's another look at it, a little different perspective.
Look at that. Bell goes to jink to the right, and then Baptista there, and then the road is turning to the right, and he's in the dirt still. And you can see he actually breaks the right front suspension.
Yeah.
I think the right front suspension was broken, and that fired him across the road.
Yeah, with that bending like that, and Roberts not having any idea that you're in the dirt coming up the inside, he's going to take his normal line and turn in.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty big hit, Greg. I'm hoping he's okay there. I mean, maybe just struggling to get him out with the driver's side hard up against the concrete wall.
That's probably it. It's just he's just still sitting right up against that wall there.
Escape from the car. And such a shame, his second and pole in a row.
Yeah, he was flying at Road America as well. Had a great run there. He's been really strong. And keep in mind, he started the championship a few races late. They had some problems with the Maserati, and then he ended up having to miss an event because of business commitments. And since he stepped in and been going at it full on, he has been really, really impressive. So out-qualified his teammate, Jeff Courtney, who's a full-on pro guy. So that's an impressive job by him at this point. And taking a look here, Ian James, obviously with the battling and the incident and the like, he was able to get through unscathed. You talked about it. He was very lucky that nobody else got caught.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when everyone's bunched together on an initial start or restart, for that matter, to have something go wrong like that.
There's a look at Courtney in the team number 99. It's the JCR Racing team, and that's the Kenda Reckstuff machine. And knowing Jeff the way we do, he will have been nothing except absolutely delighted that his amateur driver and dear friend really out-qualified him. He just will love that.
But it's just really showing the competitive nature of the team, and certainly that platform as well. And Maserati has really shown great speed this year, and it's a fun championship. It's a fun class, Greg, that all of these different platforms and manufacturers are competitive at different racetracks. Certainly we're seeing some really strong potential wins for Jeff this year, knocking on the door of that victory. Certainly some great podium runs.
And doing it all without ABS compared to the other teams, so that says something, I think.
Noticed that down in the carousel yesterday, watching that practice session from the grandstands, that the Maseratis were locking up a little bit down there.
Well, it's got to be tough because a track like this, where you're doing a fair amount of braking and turning in, you get that one tire unloaded a lot. You've got to really, really manage it. Ironically, Jeff said at Road America, he said, when I started to really try and go after the guys up front, he said, I locked up once, and he said, it really forced me to be a lot more smooth on the braking. He goes, and in the end, I started carrying more speed through the corner as a result. He said, and he said, I found something just in my driving style in that race that made a big difference.
Yeah, the ABS is, it's kind of a safety net for drivers, and it's when you get into a racing situation where you suddenly having to apply a lot more brake pressure, where it can catch you out. But some drivers, they don't like traction control. They don't like ABS, you know what I mean? They just like to be in total control of the machine.
Well, while we're under this caution, we are very fortunate to have a special guest here in the booth. He's the owner of Forge Line Motorsports, Steve Sharton. This is home for you, isn't it? This is a big event.
It's our home track.
Yeah.
We're about 2 hours away from here. We were just talking about this. We were racing in the 80s. My dad has video of the Mid-Ohio in the 60s. and it's a wonderful place. We love it here.
Yeah, it is a spectacular venue, and as we said, it's a place where a driver can make a difference, a well-set-up car can make a difference. What's been the difference for you in determining to get back and involved fairly significantly in motorsports here with Forgeline and with the series?
Well, we're racers. My thoughts are with Roberts right now, because we race cars, and this isn't what we're here for. We don't want to see these accidents, but obviously I love their tagline. This is what racing should be, and that's why we're here, because we love the competition, we love the different manufacturers, we love the people. It's almost like family when you come to this track, and we all say hi every time we load in on Thursday, and we're all shaking hands and saying goodbye on Sunday. And so we make a great product. We're very proud of it. We're a family-owned operation, and there's no other place we'd like to be than at the track.
With any racer, it's all about opportunity and taking advantage of that, and it seems like with this new GT4 platform that's been embraced by the GTS class, it's created great opportunity for your brand.
It truly has. At the beginning, we were very we were worried, because the brands that were homologated were European, and what's great now that the Americans are stepping up, and the Camaro, the GT4R, the Ford GT4 Mustang, and even Panos, who's putting their program together. They've all chosen Forgeline for a reason. We can make them wheels quickly. We have our own engineering inside, and we've been doing this for almost 25 years. So we know what works and what doesn't, and these people are trusting us with their wheels.
And I know, talking to Ian James, talking to Tom Milner and the whole Panos group about their switch to your product, there's a number of benefits. It's not like a cool looking wheel. It's not like racers want things to look good too, but it's all about speed and performance. Tell us some of the advantages that you're able to bring to the table.
Well, the Forged monoblock wheel, we can create a stiffer wheel, so there's less deflection. All right, and that's key for the drivers. Right. The next thing is weight, obviously unsprung weight, and the way it's also designed, it's very open. After their test, they ran brakes cooler, about 100 degrees cooler consistently. And so when Ian can race harder, he gets better. It's almost like a confidence builder. And to that point where he gets that confidence, he can go faster, knowing that these wheels are, they're not going to fail. They're going to be behind him, and the car handles better.
There's a reason Forge is in the name of the product, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We had to have it in there, because you cannot make a wheel or a strong wheel out of a casting. The casting has no grain flow. And the biggest thing I talk about is catastrophic failure. If you hit a cast wheel, it generally can fall apart, where a forging bends. We've had wheels that look like they should have been thrown away in the trash, and they finish the race. And Lawson's hit a couple, not very often, but people like Dean Martin and other people, they're confident in finishing the race with our wheel no matter what. And
you've put a fair amount of emphasis in the racing side of this equation here. It's a sizable market for you, isn't it?
It's our home. It's no matter what we do, it's about 50% of our business. Racing right now is, as you see, it's kind of in its heyday right now. There's many people doing the driver schools and coming to this races. The crowd here today is phenomenal, and they're here to see these sports cars, racing.
And do you find that the racing success that you have, you said it seems to maintain that 50% between racing and your road-going wheels, is it that when you get more brand recognition on the racetrack, you get more success, that just immediately drives sales and they go hand in hand?
It can. It really can. The cars are, you've seen the cars, and every time they come out, it's a higher performance car. It's they're coming out with basically race tires on some of these OEM cars.
Right.
And they're taking them right to the track. And a lot of them just want a different wheel.
Let me jump in here real quick. Just wanted to show you, this is the 04. It is the CrowdStrike GMG McLaren of George Kurtz, who currently sits second in the points in GTSA, only 3 out of the lead behind Tony Gaples, and he also, for this race, is our Optima Batteries best start winner, which is most positions gained on the opening lap, and he picked up 3 spots in that opening lap, so just want to give a shout out to George Kurtz.
Well, he may have had some inspiration. I saw him chatting with Mario Andretti on the pre-grid, and I know Mario does some promotional work for CrowdStrike, so he's here with the IndyCar series here this weekend, so he went down and had a chat with George, and I'm sure he gave him a good pep talk before the green here today.
I'm sure George, knowing that Mario Andretti has maybe got his eyes on him, is a little extra motivated. I think that's a real good point. And what a year he's had. George has just really come alive this season. He's got some great coaching, and with just the Global Motorsports Group sort of driver development program, the way that they go about it, and Alec Udell and James Sofronis and some of these drivers there doing just a superb job for George. And George has been a sponge and has just absolutely picked up on it. And since they've got the mechanical gremlins that the McLaren had early in the year sorted through, has really made a difference in him just getting seat time, I think.
Yeah, that car has certainly shown great potential right from the very get-go. But they did have a few issues in the early going. It seems to be rectified, and now it's fun for the teams to be able to come up and not lose track time. There's nothing worse when you're fixing a race car in terms of the rest of the teams are out there advancing their setups, and you're fixing the race car. So now that the car's a bit more reliable, it just goes hand in hand with success. And
just taking their time right now, working on the incident and working on the car. And obviously for Fred Roberts, anytime you have contact like that, even if you're just lightly complaining of something in terms of, boy, this smarts a little bit, and after an incident like that, they're going to be super careful in getting you out of the car, and that's exactly what they're doing at this stage. So better to be cautious.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm hoping that the injury is not that severe, because I think being pinned against the wall, if he does have any kind of injury, they're going to be super careful in extricating him out. So hopefully that's the scenario rather than something more severe to talk about.
Absolutely. And you can see that Porsche, obviously, of Baptista. I think they made a run into the pits to obviously have that car looked at after, because you can see there were a couple little bumps, and then there was the one big enough to look like break the right front on Robert's car. So I'm sure that they wanted to have him in and have a look at that car. It seems to be okay.
And this is one of the very impressive young newcomers to this championship. Talked to Darren Law last night about him. He said, yeah, he seems to be the real deal, really focused and working well with Jim Bell, the engineer over there, in terms of getting great results. Had the sweep, of course, at Lime Rock. And, barring a couple of problem races this year, he could have been right in this championship hunt right now.
He certainly has shown some remarkable pace and the like, but that youthful exuberance sometimes, like we saw here at the start, is what can get you in a little bit of trouble. But that's something that comes with experience, right?
It does, and it comes with learning the race circuits as well. I mean, I think there'll be many more experienced guys that have run here before, and you wouldn't push it quite as hard going down through the kink there, because you know it can get out there.
Here's a look at his teammate Nate Stacy once again, who just made some huge gains in a huge hurry. Started very, very young in this championship. Is still, I think, only 17, and is now basically got a big opportunity with Flying Lizard Motorsports. But the look at that! Oh, that's great to see. He is out. Fred Roberts is under his own power. Little ginger. Yeah. Obviously, I'm sure he got rocked a little bit, but how cool just to climb into that ambulance on his own power. That is the best news we could have imagined.
Well, that's smart action on behalf of the driver, indicating to the crew what exactly going on with your body, and certainly for the crew, not taking any chances and just taking their time to make sure he gets out of the car safely.
Yep, and I think you may have been spot on too with the way that driver's side was just up against the concrete. It was very difficult to get him out the other way, because a lot of times coming out the other side, you got all kinds of bracing.
Turn,
yeah, you don't want to mess with that. So fantastic news to see Fred out of the car, and that means now I'm sure everybody in this field at this point, you love to see that when you come by. You've been going by it for a few laps and wondering, and then you see the driver get out of the car, and you're just a massive relief. And now you can focus on getting back into racing. And since we know that Fred is okay, Cal, let's go back and take another look at that incident.
Probably one of the more relieved guys is going to be Baptista. Look at him. He's already on the go. He's alongside Bell there, going down towards the kink. And just look there. He gets super aggressive. You see that little bit of pavement. You think, oh, I can use that. And then I think that just breaks his right front suspension and just spears him off. He's got no steering at that point. And just luckily, no one else involved. Let's take another look at it. Here you see the jump. Bell tries to go and realizes that Baptista has filled that hole. And then they get down a little bit further where it kinks, and then he just gives a little tap. Look at that. You can see the right front completely broken.
Yep.
Flies him across.
And now that everything has been done, a black flag is coming for the number 3 of Baptista. Jeff, what's the word from the officials?
Yeah, down here on pit lane, Rodrigo Baptista brings his Porsche Cayman down here and stops. It looks like officials are going to hold him here for a little bit, kind of see what's going on, try to see if we can find out what the penalty is, as they're kind of counting here for that penalty.
All right, getting word it's contact at the start. And it's clearly a stop and hold, not just a drive-through or a stop and go. So that's going to set him back just a little bit. So, and well, he was in that grass right as Fred was turning in. That second contact is what broke it, wasn't it?
Yeah. Just broke the toe link, I believe, on the right front suspension and just spared him across the road. Baptista comes into this race third in points. This is one of our championship contenders, even though both he and Barker, who's second, are a long way back of Lawson Archenbach.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. You think about Lawson's got that big lead, but Barkey, Baptista, Ian James, Nate Stacy, and that group is incredibly close. So they're pretty packed in there in terms of opportunity here. So while Lawson they're going to need some serious help to catch Lawson. It can happen, but
I'm surprised that he's serving the penalty under caution. So
whatever,
if it's a time penalty, that'll be minimized whilst they're running around slowly versus doing it under green flag conditions.
I almost wonder if maybe the officials thought the race might actually start, and so he came in to
this could be extended,
to do it.
I'm sure they're going to try and want to. Otherwise, he's just going to go back out and join up at the tail end where he was anyway.
So we're waiting to see here if the lights go out on the pace car. Now, because part of the issue is yes, we saw Fred get out of the car, get into, walk under his own power, climb into the ambulance, but there's still probably some finishing cleanup.
This day may be done.
He may be over. All right, let's get down to Jeff for the update.
Yeah, Rodrigo Baptista crawls out of the car. It is coming from the race officials. His race is done. Ask him to report to the steward's trailer immediately after this race.
Well, it was a very aggressive move. I mean, there's no question of that. And obviously, the officials decided they want to have a bit of a chat.
Yeah, and I think it just comes down simply, Greg, to not running here before. I mean, you can say, hey, it's a corner similar to anywhere else in the world where you may compete, but, you get down to the inside. It was not the smartest move, and certainly the officials see it that way. I anticipate we were chatting before the offer today, and I said, look for Baptista to make some moves early. Well, he made some moves early, but that one was not a wise one.
Well, and I think part of the issue here might be, when it happened, we've already addressed it. Tremendously lucky it didn't take out a lot more cars, and I wonder if that's maybe what the stewards are saying. Yeah, you got away with one here in a sense with it just involving Fred Roberts, but it could have collected a large chunk of this field, and that's kind of something they try and get people to not do.
You're trying to teach these young guys the right way to do it, and sometimes you have to make a major statement like this, like we're parking you. You're not going to be participating any further in this race, and that would certainly get someone's attention.
So I think they have the raw speed, racecraft, is something that comes with that experience, and sometimes the experiences are a little bit painful. So, hey, there you can see it. They're still, I think they just have to continue working on the wall. Obviously, if there was any kind of on those concrete walls, if you get one of them, the big block shifted a little bit, you get what's called the leading edge, and they absolutely do not want to have any kind of, because if a car comes along grinding along that wall and there's a leading edge, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, they peeled that roof back to get him out.
Yeah. So, tremendous job by the EV crews here, and of course the Pirelli World Challenge safety team inside the Cadillac Escalade were on site as well, working with the local track EV crews, and they did it right. Yes, it's taking a lot of time, but you just don't mess with something like that. So once they get the car up in the back, the wall actually looks all right there. It would have been farther back if there was any kind of an incident where the initial impact was, and nobody's really looking there, so they've obviously eyeballed it and found that that's okay. So I think once we get the car up and on the flatbed, we ought to be able to get back to racing.
Well, one thing, no one's going to be worried about tire degradation today with these cool conditions, and now it's effectively going to be about a 25-minute sprint. So it'll be this will be a barn burner once we get some good action going.
Well, I'll tell you, you could push these Pirelli P0s anyway, but in a 50-minute race, you've got to do some level of management, and now you can really go after it. And obviously, the guy who's probably loving this, knowing that he can just go for it now and have to worry, is Lawson Aschenbach.
Yeah, we've kind of lost track of the fact that Aschenbach and Baki both got around our pole sitter by the time they got to the S's, so it was the start that he was looking for Baki as well, in terms of the dynamic of that crossbow. Good that he's got good track position here at the beginning. And Baki's going to try and make some moves, but I think on a rolling start here for Aschenbach, he should be able to pull away from Baki before he gets to the twisty bits where Baki would be stronger.
Well, before we let you go, Steve, want to just ask you one question. You're talking about the wheels and everything. This series is the Pirelli World Challenge, the Pirelli P0 slicks that are run. As good as a wheel is, it needs the tire to be good as well. And you have to, by now, have a pretty good understanding of the dynamic and what makes these Pirelli P0s such a stout, superb tire.
Yeah, we really had to look at it differently because some of the other tires do not have the grip level that the Pirelli has, and we had to upgrade our wheel because of the Pirellis. They make a phenomenal tire, and we're very happy to work with their engineers and make sure that the wheel's right. But the tire, the force that the Pirellis can generate, it's phenomenal.
So what G load are we talking about with current era GT3, GT4
we're getting
cars?
up to two Gs.
Yeah.
In just a couple of years, it was 1. And then you start adding downforce. You really have to look at it.
Right.
You just can't throw just a simple wheel on there. And Lawson's been doing this for a while. I was just going to mention real quick because you were talking about all different makes and the sweeps and stuff, and he loves this track. And sometimes the car makes a difference, but sometimes the driver loves the certain track. And I'm really hoping he's going to get the victory today.
He has a knack of just, we always talk about carrying that mid-corner speed, floating speed through the corner, whatever. He's got a knack. I mean, they're really great drivers. Not only can they find the edge, they can live there. And that's what makes a Lawson Aschenbach special.
Yeah, just not burning those tires off and knowing that, to keep a little in hand for the end of the race. And it's been tough at times with the weight of the Camaro, but he's managed it extremely well.
Well, we just got word we will be going green next lap. We will be going back to racing next lap. So looking forward to that. And just an interesting story here at the back of the field. I want to talk about this. The PF Racing, that's the Ford Mustang, which in talking to the team, one of the Multimatic reps is obviously the company that does the build on these cars for the homologation process. And they said it's just down to a signature. He said everything's been approved. It's just that official deal. But until that happens, we can't officially call it a GT4.
It's like getting planning permission for your house, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just takes a while. There's some protocol involved.
Of what you've dealt with now, and every time I see you, I'm amazed there's not that pencil driven deep into your eye. But the interesting thing is that he shares that car. This is James Pesic. And he shares the car with Ernie Francis. It's the only team that's doing that. He runs the first race of the weekend, and then Ernie gets in for the second race of the weekend. And so didn't get the qualifying run he wanted, and is sitting at the back of the pack. But we'll see if he can work his way up to the front here at some point. And problem is he's got a fairly stout field of competitors he's got to come by. He's pretty new to this game, and I mean he's got a great coach, and it's ironic. I think Ernie's a number of years younger than James,
right?
But boy, Ernie has just been on fire since he really joined this championship.
He's a great talent, and we're looking forward to seeing him full time, possibly next year in this class, because he would definitely be a championship threat.
Oh, no question about it. Great year in another series, and he really is he's the poster boy of the Pirelli World Challenge ladder system. Started in Touring Car B, worked his way up through A into touring cars, and then did some GTS and the like. And we'd love to have him back full time. It's just great that he's put this program together to share this car with James Pesic. And there is a team championship in the GTS category, so you can have two different drivers running the car, and you can still have that team championship. Obviously, the individual driver is probably not going to have a shot at the title. I'll tell you, it's just impressive, the crowd that comes out to Mid-Ohio. And we get a report, lights out on the top of the safety car, the Cadillac ATS-V, which means we should be going racing. And again, remember, it's not at the start-finish line. It's over as they come out of the keyhole and make that long run down toward the kink. where the starts and restarts are, and which means that coming out of the keyhole, that's where that VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone is. And on the restart, once you get into that zone, you can go at any time, just so long as it's a progressive acceleration, not a brake check and go. And it'd be interesting to see where Lawson decides to
I think
ramp it up. I think so too. Use the V8.
He's going to try and see what he can do.
Yeah.
See if he can create some magic.
All right, going green. Actually, folks, I think we are going green right here. I said it was going to be in the back, and he's already rolled into it. Onto the front straight through the carousel, and away we go. And exactly what you're talking about. And look at
He's having to defend from Gottsacker, our pole sitter. Ian James looking at the inside of Parker Chase there as they head into turn 1.
Jeff Courtney right there in 4th.
Side by side there. Gottsacker's got alongside Barkey. Now he flicks to the inside in the brake zone for the keyhole. Oh, James runs a little bit wide there as he gets on the tail end of Parker Chase. Gaple's another good
that was
run
pretty.
here.
Look at this, still side by side. Gotsacker and Barkey.
That's going to be tough for Barkey. Yes, take a look. Remember, they have had that BOP adjustment, so a little bit more RPM available for that crossbow.
And look here at the Panos of Ian James now coming up and actually gets around Parker Chase, slots in behind the Maserati, and again Gotsacker attacking inside, now outside, up to the top of the S's, and Parker Chase trying to stay put there as well, and he's there.
Dives to the inside. Good racing going on there. Ian wisely gives him the room.
By the way, we just got a report the 04 of Kurtz is going to do a drive-through penalty, made a pass under caution. So I think
look at Lawson Aschenbach. He is in a different zip code right now. He is taken off.
He is. Yeah, I think these two guys running side by side through corner after corner after corner.
He's got to be looking in his mirror. Has there been a big crash behind me? Because he probably can't see these guys.
He's thinking it was Harry's birthday today. Apparently it's mine today. So big margin. Look at Lawson Aschenbach already down into turn 1, and they just come into view, Cal.
That is crazy. That is crazy. Look at this though. Gottsacker has gotten around Barkey. Courtney having a look down to the inside. What I did like to see though was that that crossbow seemed to have a little bit more straightaway speed as Ian James now gets a good exit speed out of turn 1.
Yeah, he's not just getting absolutely motored on the straights now. Boy, James has made up a ton of ground here. Barkey, though, drops back, and I think part of it is that still that cornering speed where they should have somewhat of a little advantage when you're behind a guy that's not as quick in the corner. Look at, there it is. I mean, look at the launch that James gets now.
Look here, though. I think in past we would have seen that crossbow being passed here.
Yep.
Being pretty defenseless, but oh, look at that. Courtney down the inside, 3 wide. This is going to be tight.
Courtney just
faded in the mix here, having a great run.
Yeah, but
Mario will be proud.
Yeah, unfortunately, George might have to do the drive-through penalty for the pass under yellow, so I'm not sure where it happened, whether it was under that full yellow parade he went by somebody or went before the green.
Gaples looks to the inside of Courtney now.
Tony's looking kind of racy here.
Yeah, he's had a great restart couple of laps.
He likes this track too. He's one of those guys that just really enjoys this track. And Tony, by his own admission, says, I'm just not a great qualifier, never have been. But boy, that green flag drops for a race, and he starts to pick up some spots.
That previous lap for Aschenbach, when we said he just took off 4 seconds, it was quicker than the rest of the pack on that restart lap.
I think when Lawson sensed his opportunity, and you know that caution thing, if I really can't race guys the way they can race me because I'm in this championship picture, and like an easy solution to that is get a few seconds in front of everybody.
Yep.
And he seems to have solved that beautifully here.
And the Kurtz has given the position back, so the penalty has been rescinded.
Oh, good.
Which is good to see.
Yeah.
And I like that. I think even if there's a little bit of argy-bargy in this contact, and there's a position change, but you got it illegally. If you give the position back, both cars are healthy. Just go race again. As you know, see Kurtz having a great run. Look at that McLaren. It's got good straightaway speed here as it slides around the outside of the Ginetta and clears Barkey. What a run here.
That's huge. That puts him up into 4th overall right now. And Kurtz is just really found it here this season. Just superb to watch him run. Parker Chase takes up the battle on Martin Barkey.
Chase just so impressive. Still 16 years old, but he just doesn't seem to have those last few tenths that his teammates had here this weekend, as Gottsag was running in a strong second position. You see Parker struggling to get through this pack right now.
I almost wondered to see if Parker could slide through on Markey somewhere, if he'd be able to open that margin up.
Oh, Markey gets in there deep, opens the door. Parker tries to fill it. Side by side, this is going to be close through 13. Trying to give each other racing room. That's allowed Courtney to get a bit of a run and maybe clear them both. Yeah, nice job by Jeff Courtney seeing that develop and setting it up nicely with that exit speed out of 13 and making the clean pass by the time they got to the brake zone for turn 1.
And look at Tony now coming up the inside. He might get down and underneath. Oh, Tony on the curb. No, that wasn't going to happen. And Clennon, who was flying through the gravel, can he keep it going? Keep it going. Looks like he might do it, but Courtney's broken.
Damage on the door.
Look at the right rear and the right rear corner.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's definitely been tweaked.
Yep.
That's a shame.
Yeah, he had dropped off after a problem on the start, and Clennon was able to get through the gravel, but something else seems to have gone amiss. You can see that damage on the right front corners. We're full course caution here. Oh boy, everybody involved in that has been hurt in terms of the cars here. Yeah, Tony had a great run, but he decided to try and get another spot as well, and it just got up on that curb. Take a look at it here.
Yeah, Clennon got in there really deep. Okay, here's the run. Courtney just passed a couple of these guys going into turn 1. Everything looked clean and neat there. Now Gaples gets really deep in there. That was just really late braking there, and Tony was really the catalyst for all of that going wrong, unfortunately. He's got suckered in a little bit. There's not as much grip there down at the inside, a little bit dirtier part of the racetrack where guys are typically not running.
And that's really going to hurt both Clennon and Gaples, obviously, in terms of points, as they came in. Gaples leading in the points, Clennon third in the points in GTSA.
Pardon me, sir, do you have any Grey Poupon?
Oh, what a frustrating day.
Making fun of a serious situation here. These are guys who love their racing, put a lot of effort in. It's not the way you want to see your day end.
Yeah, and obviously both of these two were just, incidentally involved when Tony came up the inside just a little bit. Remember, for Courtney, this is the second straight race now. He had the problem at Road America where he went off and had the contact as well. So, and we get a report now. Tony Gaples has made it down to pit lane. Jeff?
Yeah, no. Yeah, it just comes down on pit lane. This Black Dog Speed Shop crew, Ray Sorensen's leading him here, kind of did a huddle up on here's what we're going to do. They know they have a rear trailing arm problem. They have some tires out trying to get that fixed. He is in this AM championship battle, so Ray says they want to try to get him to get out there to get some points. They just need to evaluate the cars. He brings it down on pit lane.
Yeah, he's leading that points chase right now, and Kurtz, who's right in the mix, is going to be leading the class at this point. I don't know if they can do a quick fix here. I think it's going to be day over.
Yeah, the whole left side of that car has some damage on it. And one of the reasons that they'll try and get a fix done if they can is if he doesn't have a particularly good lap in the race, to get him back out and get a lap down, because it's so important for qualifying. But I just don't see this being that quick of a fix. Look at the damage.
Yeah, it's major damage there. You got to be safe first and foremost. And I think even if they do a quick fix, the alignment will be way off to set any representative time.
So that Black Dog crew going to work. And this is a look back at Clennon and Courtney having a chat here. Just talking about it.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure Clennon knows.
Clennon and Courtney having a very animated conversation on the big screen here about what happened.
Oh, that's funny. That's not the.
Well, does Clennon know that Gaples was down on the inside of Courtney?
Yeah, I think Courtney probably just filled him in.
Yeah.
So Clennon but Clennon was clearly a little bit tweaked about that. That belly wasn't so tender right there. He was a little upset. That's a sponsor on his car, folks. So that's why we say that. But tell you, he too has had just a superb season. Also driving one of the McLarens.
Well, it's a fun car. It's a great platform. I think it gives those drivers a lot of confidence, and you could see there in the runs that Clennon was having. Kurtz leads with the same car in the AM division right now. So,
well, I mean, it's that McLaren is much more closely related to the street counterpart than the GT3 version is. So all those driver aids that you have in there, they can really benefit a driver as he's trying to learn his craft, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And, you know, with driving at whatever level, it's all about confidence and feeling the car's underneath you. So I think these guys are really excelling with this new platform for this year.
Of course, now for Lawson Aschenbach, he's sitting there. I had built up a big lead, and I had an opportunity here, and now that's evaporated, and I've got the pole sitter right behind me, and Ian James, who is crafty and quick as well.
Well, everyone's got a new opportunity.
Yeah, somebody to watch here too.
Kurtz is really quick. Gotzak has got, you know, I've got the pace. He showed that in qualifying by being quicker than Lawson Aschenbach. Didn't have a good initial start, lost a couple of spots, got back into a rhythm. Looking at fast laps so far today, Aschenbach laid down that 29 flat really early, 129.077. So he would have pole for tomorrow. The only other guy underneath the 130 mark is Gotzak at 129.7.
All right, let's get down to Jeff with an update on Fred Roberts.
Yeah, guys, you saw him get out of the car under his own power. He walked into the medical center under his own power. He's been treated here. He is going to get transported just for observation and check out at a local hospital. His wife and son are here, so awesome to have that good news from Fred Roberts.
Yeah, that is just fantastic. I think it's a smart move. I mean, that was, if nothing else, a bone-rattling hit. And to, even if you're walking under your own power, if you're sore and smart, go get checked out at a facility and really let them have a look at you. So good call that. But best news, yeah, absolutely, when we saw him get out of that car. And again, they had to take the roof off to get him out because of where the car was set. And to see him climbing into the ambulance under his own power, it's about as good as it gets. And now Jeff Lepper, boy, he's busy down there in pit lane.
Yeah.
We think he was going to run down, and there he is. He's down with Jeff Courtney.
Yeah, you see Jeff Courtney getting out of his Maserati here. The passenger door is actually completely gone off the car. A little bit of damage trying to evaluate, but big frustration after the car got repaired after that huge incident we saw at Road America to come here and be out in this race as well.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, I just want to try to, you know what happened there, or see what happened there?
Well, you probably don't want to hear this, and I'll probably get fined for saying it, but they need to start sitting people down. This is bullshit. That's it.
Well, we apologize for the language, but you can certainly understand his frustration at this point. That's, the race, the incident, obviously, at Road America, when he went off, that was just a mistake. Obviously, carried it in a bit too much speed, but he was in the wars there as well. And obviously, he's a frustrated man at this point. I saw Clennon was back and back driving around the track as well. So.
Yes. And, I think Jeff's one of those guys who drives very respectfully, and, he doesn't want to see his race car hurt. He doesn't want to see himself get taken out of the race. So you can understand his frustration because he made a very clean move and was very patient with the moves that he made early in the race. And, obviously someone else was a bit more aggressive.
Yep. So, still waiting to get word as to when we are going to go back to green here. Hope that'll be happening very, very soon. All three of the cars involved in that incident are back into the pit, so there really wasn't any contact with barriers or anything. So we get word we are going green this time. And the tender belly McLaren down to the pits for Mark Clennon, whose day as well done. And again, it's significant in terms of GTSA championship competition for a guy who's fast.
And for Clennon, he had a good run going there. I think his move around the outside was totally legit, and he just got collected.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Jeff, what's the word from the Clennon pit?
Same thing there, Greg. He's calling out of the car. Front damage here. Both tires are towed way in on the front. He nursed it in, already had his gloves on the dash. He knows his race is done today.
Tough break, and he's one of the fun guys in the paddock as well. It really is a treat, and you hate to see it here. Of course, his wife Jamie very involved with pet rescues and Racing for Paws. This group helps raise funds and awareness for various pet rescues around the country. At every race they go to, there's some program in place that they've worked on. But lights out on the Cadillac ATS safety car. That means we are heading toward the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone in Lawson Aschenbach. Unless we see Ian James get up and start mixing it up with Gottsacker, I don't think we're going to see a 4-second lap difference here in that opening lap.
I don't think so. I think everyone learned a lesson last go around.
Lawson sure is going to fly, and again, he can just let it fly right now. These tires are up to it. VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone, and he has gone, but again, Gottsacker this time much closer.
He is, but he's immediately having to defend from Ian James, who gets a run down into turn 1, pokes his nose in there. And all this is going to do is help Lawson Archenbach.
Well, the minute Ian moves over like that, Gottsacker will start to faint just a little bit. Now he's tightened his radius up, which means a little slower out. It just dominoes, doesn't it?
By faint, you mean?
Yes. Yeah. Ease over.
Right.
This pressure's too much. I'm out.
You can see the gap immediately. This will take the pressure off Archenbach. He can just hit his own marks down into turn 4. As James now does get a run, he's got a little bit more straightaway speed than that Janetta we've seen earlier in the race when he made some moves on his Harry's teammate Parker Chase.
And look at Kurtz, GTSA, AM driver right there in 4th, hounding. And what a story it would be, you know. I wonder how hard he'll push at this point, because sometimes if you make that move and finish on the overall podium, suddenly you get advanced into the higher level of class.
True, yeah. So top 3.
You might say, I want to win a championship here, so maybe I'll just sit here in 3rd. But I'll tell you, once you get into the backside of this track, and I mean, really, it's like 2 different tracks, from the exit of the carousel all the way into the S's. That whole dynamic of this track different than from the S's all the way around. And you can see Harry is right back on Ian James, but now you get to the parts of the track where the straights get a little bit longer. This is where Ian excels.
Yes. And he can drive too, but certainly the straightaway is his friend right now in terms of the horsepower that he's got.
And look at this.
Having a good run.
And Nate Stacey has had a good run here. He's used these restarts, done a nice job, and now finds himself up into 7th. Keeping in mind that at the start of the race, he was back in the 14th spot. Look at this side-by-side action. Barkey and Chase.
Look at that. Chase wisely does the over-under there. That was nice by Parker Chase. Not getting involved with Stacey. Had enough room to make that move stick. Very nice driving.
And I wonder if that moment for Martin Barkey going into the keyhole there is that extra weight on that car. You're not used to it. You're still thinking of how it used to drive. A little bit too much speed in, and you can't get it.
It's an adjustment, you know, and he said that to me yesterday. He said, you know, I like what they're doing and trying to change the dynamic, but it really does affect the car tremendously.
It's just not quite the nimble thing that it was.
You love the fact he's a bit more competitive on the straights, but there's a give and take in this game.
Hear that thunder of that V8. That is a car, you know it's coming when it's coming at you here, and it also is carrying our Eibach suspension cam on that car. And on this track, with the pavement changes up and over the blind brows and the like, it needs to be effective, doesn't it?
It does. You're trying to maintain that contact pass when you have a huge elevation change like you have here at Mid-Ohio. It really puts a lot of pressure on the engineer, I think, as well as the suspension system to get it right.
Well, in this track, I mean, there are other tracks that have more actual elevation change, but I don't think there's any place that has the abrupt elevation change here, where you're up and down and up. I mean,
it just pulls away from it.
Especially, I love like coming out of Madness. You know, you're apexing right over hilltop.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, turn 5 and turn 9 here is really got to get the wheels pointing in the right direction. That's for sure.
So Archenbach's lead right now, 2.5 seconds clear. James, who's still right there with Gottsacker in his mirrors. Then Kurtz in 4th, leading Am. And here's the margin. There's Lawson, and here's that battle for 2nd. And the gap back to Kurtz in 4th.
Just as we saw in qualifying, everyone's lap times are getting quicker as this race goes on. As we said, it is effectively a 25-minute sprint race here this afternoon versus you know, the 50 minutes. Right. So we're seeing fast lap times right now. Lawson Archenbach's last lap, the fastest of the day at 1:28.6. James at 1:29.2. Gottsacker at 1:29.5. They're the only guys under the 1:30 bracket.
It's a pretty good pace for late in the race, but it's exactly the reason you talked about.
We talk about the sweeps. You know, it's all about, you know, as we said, if you win the first day, it means you got a fast car. And typically, if you got a fast car, you would have done a quick lap. That sets up your day too. That's the way these weekends work. But it would be unbelievable if we were our 6th event of the championship and see another sweep here this weekend. But a long way to go.
What are the odds on that? Yeah, a 1:28.6 compares to a 1:28 flat set in 2015 for the fast race lap in the Sin R1 GT4 cars here. So this is going to be a big moment. And again, not just giving it to Lawson yet. Things can happen here even with just 5 minutes to go. But for this team to finally get a win in the Chevy Camaro GT4, you know, that car has already seen a win in another category here this season, so the team won't get the honor of bringing that mark and this chassis its first win. But they're talking, and when I talked to Ray Sorensen, he said, you're right. He said, we would have loved to have got the first win globally. We can't do that. Now our job is to bring them their first championship.
Yeah, and there is crossover, even though they're different series with different tires. There's still a crossover of information with Pratt & Miller being involved with these programs. So that enables both teams to move forward. And, you know, the unique thing is when we look at GT3 cars in our GT Championship and the GT4 platform here is that as quick as these cars are on the track, they're actually detuned street cars. I mean, it's just phenomenal, the street car performance that people are able to go into their showroom and buy from Chevy.
Yeah, I mean, the absolute performance that they can do. And, of course, they're all reined in as part of that balance of performance to make them all race with each other. Just got word that the team car to Aschenbach, not a surprise, kind of figured this was coming. We'll get a stop and hold as well for incident responsibility in that crash up in the keyhole for Tony Gapel. So he'll have a little stop and hold in the pits for a little bit. And meanwhile, Lawson, the margin now up to just over 3 seconds. So every lap he's just tweaking it away a little bit.
Yeah, and
more.
I tell you what, I think it's still up for grabs. I think the victory is certainly going Lawson's way. But looking at these fast lap times, both James and Gottsack, they're only 3/10 slower on that last lap. So maybe someone can lay a fast lap down here in the last couple of laps.
Be interesting to see, and again, who might join Lawson up on the front row or take pole away. So Tony comes in, and actually it looks like he's just heading behind the wall, Jeff.
Yeah, Tony Gaples brings his Black Dog Camaro down, decides that, you know, the damage is too much out there. He did that reconnaissance lap, and then with the penalty, go ahead and retire the car, go good tomorrow, get that Black Dog crew started on repairing that Camaro.
I think that's probably a smart call. Obviously, he'll probably be a little frustrated. You know, that's not the way Tony Gaples races.
Well, looking at their board as well, he's 6 laps behind the next guy in terms of anyone still out there competing, so he's not going to make up that time even if someone gets stranded right now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So we'll also going to do lap time wise here. 28.9, so a little bit slower. And James and Gottsack are in the 29 bracket as well. So maybe that 128.6 will still stick for fast lap of the day and potential pole for tomorrow for Lawson Aschenbach right now.
If I'm looking at the monitor right, the only other guys in the 128 range with Lawson is James and Gottsacker. And between the two of them, it's exceptionally close.
It's a good little battle here for that runner-up position right now. Couple of laps to go.
Boy, these two guys have eased away now from George Kurtz. And I think Kurtz has realized, you know, I could go up and try and race for an overall podium, but I'm well clear of everybody I'm racing in the AMP category championship. So just ease back and bring this car home, get some points, and have a real healthy race car for tomorrow's race as we are on the final lap.
And he should assume relief. He came into this race only 3 points behind Tony Gaples, who's now in the paddock.
Yep, so it's a big day for George Kurtz. Could be the one thing that's been missing this season from Lawson Aschenbach in the Black Dog Speed Shop Chevrolet Camaro attack on a championship. This is a remarkable thing to say. He's going for his 5th.
Yeah. But I tell you what, it will make you lose a little bit of sleep. I know he's happy to have a good championship lead, but not getting a victory. You don't want to end up at that season banquet with the championship trophy without a race win.
White flag, so they actually got around a little quicker than scoring thought, and this will now be the final lap. And here, look at this now. There's a little pressure for Kurtz. He's got Parker Chase.
Stacy's hanging in there as well. Good run for Nate today.
Barkey still right there in 7th.
Chase got huge speed through turn 1 there. Boy, oh boy, what a run.
Looks to the inside. It's a matter of who can get deeper into the brakes, into the keyhole. McLaren working pretty well there.
Yeah, and driven very well to be able to tuck it into line.
Yes.
When you're under pressure, it's really easy to break yourself up into the keyhole and run wide and open up that door for Parker.
Now you can see that McLaren has some relatively solid straight line speed. Nate Stacy got a little bit of a run here. I just don't think that straight's quite long enough for him to really be in a position to try something.
And the Cayman is really how this GTS class is BOP'd in terms of that's the benchmark. They try and get everyone close to the Cayman.
All right, as this group heads down toward madness, that means our leader, Lasse Aschenbach, heading through Thunder Valley on this final lap. Here he comes, heading up for the last sequence of corners. This very quick blind approach left-hander, and now into the carousel. I'm sure he's inside that car going, come on, we can get this one. Last turn, onto the front straight, and Chevrolet's GT4 Camaro wins at Mid-Ohio. Lasse Aschenbach and Black Dog get that little monkey off their back. Ian James, another podium in the...
Oh, look at this run of the line.
So close.
Kurtz just grabs the 4th position from Parker Chase. And Stacy rounds out the top 6.
Stacy was right there as well. He had a great run through that last corner. And yesterday's birthday boy and pole sitter, Harry Gottsager, a podium as a pro. Not too bad there either. But for Lawson, you can just almost hear the relief pouring out of that helmet right now. And it was kind of a...
You can see the 2 pros.
Yeah.
Immediately out in the marbles, picking up a bit of rubber, making sure their ride height is clear of the minimums after the race.
And the 04, George Kurtz, not only a win in AMP and a point lead, but also he gets the VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award. That's most positions gained during the course of the race. 8 spots he made up. So that's a pretty remarkable gain by Kurtz, and we're getting word that the Cadillac ATSV move of the race goes to Lasse Aschenbach for the start. And he just, I mean, he was gone.
Set up the race, didn't it?
It really did. So just a superb job for Lasse Aschenbach. And tell you, when you look at the record over the years of Lawson and this Black Dog Speed Shop and the Camaro when they've run here, you knew this was a spot where he might well be able to make that win statement. And he lived up to it.
Yeah, it's been a happy hunting ground, and that continues. And also creates more of a buffer between he and the chasers.
Right.
Barkey, who came into this round second in points, finishes in the 7th position. We obviously saw Batista's issues today. So that's going to really blow out this championship even further.
All right, well, as we're watching this cool down and victory lap, Steve, a great pleasure to have you in the booth with us here with Forge Line. And it was kind of a disjointed race, but in the end, it was sure entertaining.
It was a great job. And Forge Lines 1 and 2, we're really happy. I'm going to run over to the victory circle. I wanted to thank Pirelli and World Challenge and you guys for letting me be here. Our whole manufacturing facility and their families are here. And we're just going to have a great day. And just wanted to thank you again for having me over.
Get the party started, man.
Getting the party started.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, I turned around, I looked at him, and that grin made my cheeks hurt. He was so happy with what's going on here. Thank you so much, Steve. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Cheers, man.
So, all right, Lasse Aschenbach down into the pits. And as he climbs out of that beautiful Black Dog Speed Shop Chevrolet Camaro, Jeff Lepper is awaiting. And Jeff, I'll tell you what, this was this guy's day.
It really was, and it all came through that first start. And to see him as the screw guys here getting the belts undone, he's climbing out, celebrating here. A long time coming for this Camaro GT4R from Black Dog Speed Shop. As Lasse Aschenbach, your race winner here today, will get his helmet off and get him going here with that team. A very trying race for Lawson, I'm sure, but try to get this going. Earning our Motul Fast Lap Award. He'll start from pole tomorrow, so which is sure going to be unexpected for this Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro. But Lawson, you got that jump at the start, but all these yellows, man, how did you maintain that and keep the focus through all that for this race?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, first and foremost, I hope Roberts is okay, because I actually happened to catch that in my mirror, and it looked like a pretty tough hit. So I hope he's okay. But I mean, this track. It's our track. I mean, this is Black Dog's track. We do so well here every year. I got to say thanks to everybody at Black Dog Speed Shop. Our Chevrolet Camaro GT4R was fast. It's been fast since we rolled off the trailer. And it feels good to finally get our first win of the year. We've had a lot of success, but no wins. And, I think In all honesty, I think the key to the race was the restarts. I mean, the start was a bit of a cluster. We didn't know what was going to happen, but on the restarts, you had to hit it hard right away. You had to clean your tires off and try to get a gap, and fortunately it worked out for us. So I think that's really what won us the race. I don't know if we were truly the fastest car. I mean, if everybody was actually in line where they should be, but just, really proud of everything today, and really happy to put a Chevrolet back on the top of the podium.
Well, truly the fastest car, earning the Motul Fast Lap starting from pole tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't hurt, obviously. But, I think it was a bit unexpected what happened during this race. And the order, was a little bit surprising as well behind me. So, I think tomorrow it's going to be the same game. It's trying to stay clean. If we have restarts, really be clean on those restarts, try to get everything you got, and just kind of go from there. So, like I said, I'm really happy with the win.
Well, started one position better tomorrow, looking for the same result. Your race winner here today, Lawson Aschenbach.
Yeah, absolutely. Stellar run. And, of course, that pole position that he'll have for tomorrow is going to be the first one he's had this year since the opening round at St. Pete. So they haven't been exactly frequent either, but he's had plenty of front row starts. So an opportunity for him here at this point. And we're going to try and get back down to Jeff in a moment. We'll do that as soon as he finds George Kurtz, your winner in GTSA. But he said the order behind him is kind of surprising. Was he maybe talking about James?
Yeah, I think when you looked at the qualifying order, Gottsek was really quick. So there was definitely a mix-up there at the start, yep. And James had a great run once again. The paint has shown good pace. So I think Lawson is also politicking a little bit, saying, yeah, we got fast lap, we want the fastest car, so don't mess with us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's always on their minds, isn't it? And on the mind of one George Kurtz, Jeff Lepper, is another win and the points lead.
Another win goes into the points lead. VP Fuel Hard Charger Race Award winner here for this race. Is there anything you can't win?
We've got a great team, got a great car, and luck was on our side. So we weren't the fastest in qualifying, but I knew a consistent race, and using the speed of the McLaren, I think we'd have good results, and we did.
Well, George Kurtz, once again, your AM winner here today.
Yeah, I think it's his third straight win because he got them both at Road America, and in the middle had to fly back to California to Silicon Valley to get an Entrepreneur of the Year award. So
Mario will be proud.
Yes, Mario will indeed be proud, especially considering how far back he came from. So, yeah, that was absolutely superb. Well, that's going to wrap things up here for us, at least here for the morning. But do remember, folks, we want you to come back. I'd be about 4:30. Be ready to go here on our global webcast because it will be the first of the double headers of the GT Sprint race that's going to be unfolding here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. So a big thanks for you joining us right now, for Cal and for Jeff. I'm Greg Creamer. Really appreciate it. And remember to join us in just a few hours back at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio, presented by Honda Racing HPD for GT, GTA, and GT Cup Racing. See you then.